I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
Do you see what is happening right before our eyes? Second coming of the Lord. Jesus Christ will govern from Old Jerusalem and the New Jerusalem, built upon the American continent.
The mandate given by the First Presidency and the presiding bishopric is to only focus on financial growth. EPA employees are told that the money will be used after the second coming of Jesus Christ or during Armageddon right before he would come again.
Not only that, tithing will keep your name enrolled among the people of God and protect you in the day of vengeance and burning.
Today, I have felt prompted to speak of the importance of preparation for a future event of supreme importance to each of us, the second coming of the Lord. The Scriptures are rich in references to the second coming, an event eagerly awaited by the righteous and dreaded or denied by the wicked. The faithful of all ages have pondered the sequence and meaning of the many events prophesied to precede and follow this hinge point of history. Four matters are indisputable to Latter-day Saints. One, the Savior will return to the earth in power and great glory to reign personally during a millennium of righteousness and peace. Two, at the time of his coming, there will be a destruction of the wicked and a resurrection of the righteous.
One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming. For that shall be a day of judgment, a day of sifting, a day of separating the good from the evil. I would venture a personal opinion that no event has occurred in all the history of the earth as dreadful as will be the day of the second coming, as fraught with the destructive forces of nature, as consequential for the nations of the earth, as terrible for the wicked, and as wonderful for the righteous.
We do not say that all of the saints will be spared and saved from the coming day of desolation, from the atomic holocausts that surely shall be.
Travis went good soul. Revelation chapter 16. In verse 13, we see the false prophet mentioned. In verse 14, the false prophet goes forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to battle of that great day of God Almighty. And he gathereth them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Verse 19. Babylon came into remembrance to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And there's a great destruction that's involved here. Oh yeah, it's 19. The end of 19, verse 20. Oh, wait a minute. Verse 19. Interesting. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet, which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast on their forehead. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. Interesting. After Trump won the 2024 election, it was very clear what Nelson meant from October General Conference. In a coming day, Jesus. In a coming day, the whole world is now gathered against Israel. And I've been warning you of this ever since October 7th. People are demanding a two-state solution. You can't have it. Islam are terrorists. Islam has 2 billion worldwide. If they wanted to, they could have all ganged up on Israel and just overwhelmed them with the numbers. Israel would have had their work cut out for them. And they could have done it under Biden, and Biden wouldn't have done anything to stop it. 2 billion. Instead, on October 7th, Islam were sleeper cells awoken. They were all over the world, and the press never covered the news correctly on this one issue. And here we are. See, when Biden allowed Putin to attack Ukraine, he's Catholic. There's the Sisters of Fatima prophecy that scared Biden and would not stand up to Putin. Putin knows this. That's why he did it under Biden. It's not my intention to go over the Sisters of Fatima with you. But it has to do with Ezekiel 38. Bruce R. McConkie put in the chapter heading, remember? Growing up in Southern California, my white supremacist Christian nationalist born-again Christian peers kept telling me that we worshiped Lucifer. And I knew that that was a lie. The Book of Mormon condemns Lucifer. Joseph Smith condemns Lucifer. The Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith gives us extra insight on why Lucifer is the enemy. And so Tom Jones was wrong. I knew that. The living prophets of Jesus during conference never said they worship Lucifer, that we are supposed to worship Lucifer. They never tell us this. Tom Jones is just a hater Christian. On October 1st, 2015, Karen and I got married in the Salt Lake Temple, room number 13. It was the Friday before conference. So we were barely able to get in. And then we got our pictures taken at the doors of the Salt Lake Temple. Afterward, the Relief Society president came to us saying, I made sure to get the full door in the photographs. Other people don't get the full door. I made sure to get the full door. Okay. Whatever. Karen's best friend also came and took photographs. Both of them gave us copies of their digital photographs. And as I was going through them, I literally facepalmed. Tom Jones was right. You need to remember, I was a teenager when Benson took over. I had just become a priest when he gave the inaugural April conference in 1986, saying that I'm the youth of the noble birthright, that I was held in reserve for billions of years to come down specifically at this time for a specific work on this earth. And then in October conference, he's talking about the Book of Mormon, how it is a pattern for the 3 decades before the coming of Jesus in the Americas. October 1986, 96, 2006, 2016. Interesting. And so these kinds of things were on my mind all these decades. The abuse of my born-again Christian, white supremacist Christian nationalist peers was unbearable to not just hear, but to be around them. I learned to isolate myself from the world. Not from the things of the world. Not from the things of the world. I learned by running the test that certain things the church was saying were not true. The article of faith, number 13, is true. Right, women? Oh, you don't believe me, huh? So, yeah. I had spent my time trying to figure out the translation of Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian that Joseph Smith gave us, because nobody else would give it to me. So I didn't do research on church history, didn't do research on other issues. That dealt with the administration of the church. I was focusing on the scriptures and trying to learn Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian. And I succeeded. Joseph Smith is correct. And all hell broke loose against me because of it. Why would Mormons persecute me for learning that the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith is true? Seeing the photographs of our wedding, I now know. And I know that Mormons know, at least those Mormons who are direct descendants of the pioneers, at least the Vanguard Company. Who live in this valley. They know they worship Lucifer. They know they are wicked. They know they are the enemy of mankind. They know and understand the temple covenant paths. The law of obedience. Yeah, women, you're sex slaves to your husband. You still are. You got fooled. I've been doing the videos. Law of sacrifice. We have to give up our own lives to make sure this church is protected from criminal prosecution. And remember, we're told at the beginning of the temple endowment that we need to shut our mouths and not leak this to anybody. The restoration of the gospel, don't you dare open your mouth about it. Law of the gospel. It ain't nothing about the gospel. It's don't you dare criticize us as the leaders. And Nelson has added polygamy, the higher law. It's the higher celestial law, section 132 on polygamy. That's the only way you're getting into the celestial kingdom, polygamy. And so, yep, law of chastity. as before Nelson changed it to polygamy again with 11-year-old girls now. Mormons were supposed to forget that we were under the threat of death if we leaked anything. But the law of chastity had long since not been about polygamy. Instead, it was about shutting off our sex drive and pay the church to shut off our sex drive, and then only get married to another Mormon in the temple, which means we are paying to have sex, and then we have to pay for that spouse for the rest of our lives. And then there's some other extortion threats for the payment of tithing as well. Your dead ancestors are going to be trapped in hell unless you pay to be worthy to go to the temple to do the temple work for them. So yes, finding out that this is not Joseph's church, that it's the church of the devil, yeah, everything fit into place. All the questions that had accumulated since I was a little kid, going, that's not what I read in the Book of Mormon. I don't find this anywhere. It all makes sense now, because it's an exact same pattern match for the great and abominable church founded by Lucifer. And so yes, I would go on to find the receipt that I can finally tie what was done to me in 2008 to the leaders of the church. I got them. Because before, there was plausible deniability that it was just the Mormons who are going against the church. That there's a secret combination within the church of these Mormons who know they worship Lucifer, who know they are wicked, who know they are the enemy, evil of mankind. I mean, seriously, Desnat? We all know what that means. It means Deseret Nation. But we're in the nation of the United States of America. Why are you calling for Desnat? Oh, right, number 5, the law of consecration. Everything is for the kingdom. This church is plotting an insurrection against the United States of America and ultimately the entire world. Guess who the false prophet is, Mormons? So, Idaho chick, if you're still listening, yeah, this is why. She caught on when I mentioned it. Everywhere the church goes with an apostle, every leader who comes to Salt Lake City, their nation ends up in a coup or a protest or violence. And here we are, the church going to all the world, and the world coming to them. And now they're all against Israel. Revelation chapter 16 fulfilled. This has a basis. Joseph Smith, his second vision, it was 1838, came out and said that those evil-disposed and designing militant persons against Joseph Smith's church, and we would find out from the Joseph Smith papers that it's Willard Richards who is of that group for putting in Jesus Christ into the name of Joseph's church, would be a Christian group to be the enemy to cause Armageddon and blame it on Jesus. And here we go. Trump, which this is hilarious. The guy that I spoke of earlier that I had known about for about a month now, when the news finally came out about him, he prophesied that tomorrow Jesus would return. So today, the whole world now declares they are enemies of Israel. And you'll never guess what else was in the news tonight for tomorrow. I did that video earlier this year of everything Nelson and Oakes have been prophesying about the coming of Jesus Christ was fulfilled by Donald John Trump. And here we go again. He's going to be speaking to the UN tomorrow. You know, he is going to be condemning all of the enemy nations who have betrayed Israel. Whether or not that Christian who gave the prophecy recognizes that or not, I don't think so. Oh my God, Mormons definitely won't see it. But all of this, dear God, the 200-year-old plot of the Danites that Thomas B. Marsh exposed. The plan of the Danites is to take over the United States of America and ultimately the entire world, calling themselves true Mormons. And thus they were the ones who changed the name of the church, using the front of religion of their Christianity, turning the Book of Mormon into literal history, which was a trap. Because they knew what Christians had done to the Jewish scriptures. And so in writing the Book of Mormon, they knew that they were going to be infiltrated and most likely assassinated. You know, Joseph Smith is referred to as Messiah ben Joseph in the Book of Mormon. Messiah ben Joseph is supposed to be assassinated. Thus the need for the Jewish Christ, Messiah ben David, Emmanuel, to come and restore Joseph's church. Thus he's a Mormon. And so, the way to perfection, Joseph Fielding Smith Sr., under the gathering at Armageddon, exposed by Thomas B. Marsh, exposed in the Joseph Smith Papers as a forged document, by voice of the priesthood. This council in the valley of Armageddon is to be of the greatest importance to this world. At that time, there will be a transfer of government authority from the usurper and impostor Lucifer to the rightful King Jesus Christ. Our Lord will then assume the reins of government, and directions will be given to the priesthood. And he whose right it is to rule will be installed officially by the voice of the priesthood there assembled. When this gathering is held, the world will not know of it. The members of the church at large will not know of it. Yet it shall be preparatory to the coming in the clouds of glory of our Savior Jesus Christ, Armageddon. The world cannot know of it. The saints cannot know of it. And so only those Mormons who are descendants of the Danites, who live in this valley, are the ones who know. But there are a lot of Mormons who don't know, especially those outside of Utah. Karen did not know, despite living in Utah, despite showing her, "There, what's this?" She was in denialism. She did not want to accept and acknowledge the truth that was carved in stone on our wedding day. And yes, we did have our wedding supper feast at the Lion House next to the Beehive House. For the 5 who believe. Stanford got it. He understood. Well, so, yeah, the whistleblower likewise said that they were hoarding money for the second coming, or the millennium, Armageddon of Jesus Christ. Well, here it is. So, you're going to be handing over the money to Trump? See, D. Todd Christofferson in the Strengthening Church Members Committee is required by his calling to download every single video I post. And it's getting near 15 terabytes. And file number 36434. 36434. Oh my God. Let's find the cookie dream. That will give me the number. So there's a dream of bread, and there's the cookie dream. 36434 here. Okay. So yeah, they know who I am. They've got me documented. They listen to my whole video content. They really cannot go on vacation with me. They most likely had to hire other people just for me. They know. D. Todd has to give a report of everybody they've stalked, but especially me, to all 15 corporate board members of the criminal organization. If you've not seen that brand new picture yet, I've been talking about it all these years. Finally made it into a picture, now that I know who the fixers are. And so they all know. Like I told you, when I sued in 2020 in Pharaoh's court, Pharaoh said no. They know what I filed. Their lawyers at Kirtland McConkie are required to inform them of the case, to counsel with their clients. So thus, that fateful Monday, when I submitted as evidence the carving in stone, Elder Holland had a heart attack. I mean, an episode. And they didn't tell us for 2 weeks. Until he came home from the hospital. And it wasn't because he found out he worshipped Lucifer all of a sudden. No! It's because I exposed him. That he panicked. Said, oh no, our plot is foiled by Travis. So yeah, they worked extra hard to destroy me after that. And that's why I'm here. Because of the way to perfection. I found that after October Conference 2021. That really set them off over the edge. I already found that they were involved in the secret combination that's overthrowing America. See, the church is the silent leaders who know who the enemy is overthrowing America. And Mark Skousen was placed in that group to return and report everything to the corporate board. And so they also are able to use Mark to go back to that group and make recommendations based on evangelicals in the group. As it was the guy who did the Left Behind series who was the leader of it. So yes, what happened today is a result of this group, of which the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints knows about. They are getting other people to do their will to destroy America and ultimately the world. And then, oh, we're the only ones left alive. But the money's going to be worthless, guys. Seriously? Why are you hoarding money? Because once war is declared, the economies are going to tank. money will be worthless. I don't get it. I don't understand. I mean, at least digital cloud currency, you just make it up. There's no reason to hoard money if everything can just be done in a cloud. So, there you have it. The whole plot that I've been telling you about and warning you. And here we are. And we are so close. So close, but we're just not crossing the finish line. Like I said, Charlie Kirk, yeah, that was to set off America into a civil war. And we're so close, and it just won't happen. It's got to be as frustrating for the church as it is for me, because I want to get to Zion. They want to rule in a kingdom. And so now, boom, the whole world is against Israel. And we knew this was coming for several nations who had threatened to do it this month. And here it is. But an even greater number joined up. The picture I have from Fox was before France came out, Macron, to the UN in a meeting to declare his support for Islamic terrorism. And so yes, this is his big setup, because it's expected that there's going to be a big boom. Bruce R. McConkie likes to go over this in great detail in his books, and that conference talk clip I've been going over with you all these years, where Hinckley, in that clip I've been going over with you all these years, Nelson and his added clip after talking about tithing. See, I understand that the Danite evil have to pretend to be stupid on this and to think that I'm the anti-Mormon. But for regular Mormons, and especially for those of you who have left the church, to not be taking me seriously, when I have warned you, you are Antifa. You are the enemy of the church. The church set you up. It's coming. The church wants their kingdom back. And I still see the press saying that Antifa means Trump's political enemies. They're just laying a sabotaging trap for their followers. Everybody who is not with Trump is Antifa, anti-fascist. It is here. It is now. But we still haven't gotten across the finish line. So yes, the leaders know they are the enemy. They knew what they were doing when they turned the whole world against Israel. When they turned Putin against Ukraine for Ezekiel 38. When they turned Islam against Israel. 2 billion. And instead, the sleeper cells tried to get the world to go into Israel and do their fighting for them. Why? Because they know the Christian interpretation of the Bible and Revelation about a nuclear boom boom and eye sockets popping out, and flesh melting, and flies. Just think of Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Nazis when they open the Ark of the Covenant. Been using those clips for you all these years. And so, yeah, I told you to pay attention with the church news under the knowledge that they know they're the enemy. So, yep, they're going silent. And sure enough, that's why no young adult devotionals were scheduled after April conference. They didn't expect to have anything going on after April conference or even for April conference. That's why Nelson came out and said, I don't know the day or the hour. Trump is going slow. And so, yes, I'm well aware that the Mormons who know they're evil are angry with me and want me shut up and dead. But for those others who are Mormon and are innocent, because you got fooled into not studying your scriptures, and for all of you who left, the church really did a number on you to not watch my channel and follow me. They got you good. I warned you that was a trap. Just like they set the trap for the Mormons under Joseph Smith. Because Joseph Smith, he probably only had 5 people, not counting his family, who believed in him. Because none of the Mormons who believed that it was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ, and that they were Christian, believe in Joseph Smith. And so, John Solomon Fulmer is the one that I know of. Hiram died. William believed, but he was too young when the church got started. And so, yeah, it was clear he was left out of things. But, yeah, Samuel would have been, had he not been poisoned by Brigham Young. So yeah, it's really Emma and the family. Lucy, his mother. Just tragic. Just horrifyingly tragic. So to finish this off, we'll post this tomorrow, obviously. They did another count of the homeless here in Utah, and we've increased above and beyond the great increase that we got. It's getting worse. And like I told you, it's too late to start building homes for the homeless. That'll take a couple of years to build. Already, they're not enough. And this is why the church is expecting Trump to come into Utah and purge it of all apostates, aka Antifa. That's why they did all this. And they did it on Israel's Holy Day celebration too. Because at 6 p.m. is the New Year for the Jews. The world attacked Israel on their holy day. When the solar eclipse occurred. Whether they knew of that timing, I don't know. The church now knows. Because they're required to be briefed on all my videos. They know who I am. And they're still doing church news videos as if they don't know who I am. And they're going on as status quo. Talking about how the church is so true. Oh, here's another temple we're not authorized to touch. A BYU study came out saying that those who attend the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are happier, despite Utah having a very high rate of suicide with the number one rate of depression among women who take drugs from a psychologist. And Utah being number one for spousal violence. Yeah, happiest people on earth. Whatever. And the people who read these articles from the news, they're like, yeah, because I attend church and I'm happy. What the bleeping hell are we getting bills from Travis? He did another video. So I'm banging my head. I've been going over with you in great detail how to investigate the crime scene of church history, how to investigate crime scenes in general, and then boom, Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, and I'm just listening to Cox changing the evidence, changing his testimony, and then getting it all botched, and the shooter got away. And they framed and blamed a Mormon, all to get Trump to come in finally into Utah before October conference. And so again, I'm trying to go over with you guys. You have to start with the crime scene. Not distant stuff and text messages from the guy who turned himself in. No. Is he the guy? He could be lying. All you know is that somebody said he looks kind of like the guy. He does have a rifle. You have to still investigate. They aren't investigating. They gave up. That tells me conspiracy. And here it is, exactly as I told you it was. Armageddon. But KSL is reporting this as finally the UVU, and other local news also are talking about this, is that the UVU is now going to do their own investigation. Fox 13 News Utah last week tried to get the reports from the UVU and from the government and the police. They wouldn't give it to them. They aren't going to make them. But apparently Fox 13 News Utah, by asking the UVU now is going to do an investigation. And wouldn't you know it, they're going to do it exactly as I told you crime scene investigations need to happen. I am listening to the guy on the news report talking about how, oh, we're not going to, this is going to be a very special situation. We're going to get experts involved, and they're not just going to investigate the crime scene. They're going to investigate what led up to the crime scene, and then what happened after. And I'm just, oh my God. You all are bastards. The crime scene has already been compromised. Because you're never going to get the autopsy results now. There were none. You're never going to get ballistics. There were none. God, just a bunch of incompetence. And so then Kash Patel desperately, all this year, the church is going to assassinate Trump. The Book of Mormon, it's here. I decoded it for you since you're not investigating it. Oaks got leaked. They're going to murder Trump to get their kingdom back. Gave them all the documents, all of the research, all of the plot, the characters involved, the 200 years of working on this, the receipts, the funding of terrorism all around the world, and they did nothing. And Trump almost got assassinated during the test run. And then here, Spirit Airlines, which I didn't know it was the CEO who was a Mormon. I found that out. I knew that the church owned stock in Spirit. Oh my God. So yeah, Kash Patel finally came out and said, I'm listening to those who have submitted tips. You bastard. Dear God. I had to report again to Trump today about how YouTube is retaliating, pretending to side with Trump when actually they're siding with the church. And as such, they are Antifa under Trump's definition of it, even though the church itself are fascist. They just don't want to be Trump's fascists. So, Disney allowed Kimmel to resume. Sinclair and Nexstar said our channels will not be covering him. So yes, Utah will not be covering him on the local news or local channel. You'll have to go to the whatever ABC. I subscribe to ABC as a streaming service in order to see Kimmel. You won't be able to see it on a regular flipping around to the ABC4 channel because it's owned by Nexstar here in Utah, and they are not allowing him to be seen. Then Ronald McDonald K. Jr. came out and said Tylenol causes autism in pregnant women and babies. Who makes diagnoses of autism? Anybody who's followed my channel knows the answer is psychologists who were given asylum after World War II, Nazi Germany, by the CIA to perform human testing and experimentations on Americans now to thank their American liberators by destroying us right now. Yeah, autism is a fraud. If it's a neurologist that sees a person and recognizes autism, that's legitimate. He's a doctor, medical. Psychologists are frauds. So yeah, I've got my own sister's case. All 5 of her boys were diagnosed as mentally retarded. There's supposed to be no cure, because psychologists came up with it. They need clients in order to have their lifestyles. And they are not doctors, and so they don't have a Hippocratic oath. But some stupid reason the government gave them doctor-client confidentiality. And so, yes, Utah has had their own scandals of what causes autism. The most likely culprit was the water in Magna. But when her oldest got to the point where he was cured for some reason. They don't know why. He just stopped being autistic. It's not supposed to be that way. But it happened. And so they let him go. So I guess that means he can be baptized now. Because the church's policy is anybody who's mentally retarded doesn't need to be baptized. They're innocent. Go straight to the celestial kingdom when you murder them for not behaving properly. So yeah, dear God, it is all a fraud. Just like Brian David Mitchell, mentally retarded for kidnapping and raping a 14-year-old girl. That's mental retardation. It's not a crime. He is not capable of committing crime because he's mentally retarded. And so, sure enough, Senator Orrin Hatch steps in to save the day, and federal investigators evaluate him. Oh yeah, he's perfectly fine and normal. We can prosecute him and put him in prison. Oh, okay. Good. How many more evidences does it take until people wake up to the reality that psychology is a fraud? I mean, you got the 8 passengers psychologist, Jody Hildebrandt, now in prison. You got treatment centers shut down, being sued, other psychologists abusing and raping their clients. What does it take until people wake up here in Utah? Oh, right, the church has family services. Psychology. And the last one. Cool. The Duchess of York finally got found out about being on the Epstein files. I'm just going, oh my God, I told you guys this. I told you. They're all on it. So Jeffrey Epstein's little black book that apparently I'm the only one with a copy of. God, we're so close. And I still have no idea how the church will fall. I can see how the church can fall now, maybe. But the transfer, I don't see how that's going to happen. Because the church ain't going to admit. They'll go down to their dying grave in denial land. They're old men about ready to die anyway. So there won't be any use in torturing them to confess. There she is, Duchess of York. I can't blow it up. Summing Park? Yeah, you need to turn this into a picture to blow it up. So here's the Duke of York. And then Paul Deucine and Giordano Ducre, Francesco, Peter Dublin, Miranda and Steph Dunbar Johnson, Griffin Dunn, Philip and Dominique Dunn, An Duong, Luigi Durso, John and Charlotte Duthie, Umar Disharbaralou, Bernie Ecclestone, Paul Ecken, and Lucinda Edsel. That one page, number 21. Just scan over to see if I recognize another popular one in the near vicinity here who may suddenly come up in the news. Minnie Driver. Oh. Return to me, oh my darling, I'm so lonely. Brings me to tears when the and so here's an Epstein relative, Ed Epstein. Elizabeth. Just has Elizabeth. Is it Queen Elizabeth? It just has a number. Oh. And then Angie Everhart. Oh. So sad. I liked her movies. Ambassador and Lady Fairweather. Ms. Catherine Fairweather. Natasha Fairweather. Terence and Cornelia Faulkner. So, yeah. Just those females. So yeah, I got the whole list. So here we go. Here we go. We're gonna have a media blackout. Gonna have civil war, and then nukes in Israel, destroying the nations, sending them into World War III, all so that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints can get their kingdom back and blame Jesus.